Welcome to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast where two friends,
I'm Tamara Golden.
and I'm Dannelle Whiteside, tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments we knew better, but did it anyway.
Every week we'll explore a different girl, I can't believe that happened moment.
Yes. And every week we'll talk about the times that life surprised us, stretched us, or really straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And we're so excited that you're here for our first season and our first episode of That Time When.
And because this is our kickoff episode, it really only makes sense to start with the moment this whole thing began, that time we started a podcast.
Before we get into the story of the time when we first started our podcast, we thought it's fitting that if you're going to listen to us every single week, you should know a little bit more about us.
That's true. So let's start with me.
All right.
I'm Dannelle, and I am a wife, a mom of 3 boys. They're a handful. You know them.
Well said. Well said.
I'm a lawyer by training, a leader by calling, I say, and I am low-key obsessed with telling a good story. I love storytelling. I typically love talking about life, faith. I love to laugh. We're going to talk about navigating careers, about my personal calling, and then infuse humor and heart into this.
Yeah. I think that was spot on. That was good, Dannelle.
Thank you.
So I'm Tamara Golden. I am a trained trial attorney, most recently insurance executive, most recently entrepreneur ×2. I am a daughter and a auntie Tammy and an auntie Tamara. I like to think of myself as a low-key comedian. Like I'm real slick with it. I love games, love any kind of sport, and can talk about it. And I emphasize the word talk because some people say I debate about everything. So this is really, really exciting. So we'll learn a lot about family, which is keen for me, life and living. And also I have a dog named Libby.
Well, really, when it comes down to it, we're just 2 women who are figuring it out loud. We'll be sitting down just talking about that and what it takes to make mistakes and recover from the mistakes, because we done made them.
There's power in the recovery. So speaking of decisions and growing and evolution and trying something different, let's talk about this decision to start the podcast.
Okay, so I had this idea, and I will say that it stemmed from a couple things. Earlier in the year, I was talking to a mentor of mine, and she was like, your voice is missing in this space. Like, where's your voice? And talking and speaking, like public speaking, these are things that I love to do. And when I think about the last few years, I just haven't done as much of it. And so then you and I had to sit down, and you talked about a major life change that you had. And then I started thinking, like, if there's anybody that I can sit down and talk about things with, is you. And so I said, like, I called you and was like, hey, I think we should start a podcast.
It was done. You had me at hey, and think. I mean, seriously, to your point, I love our conversations. I consider that a compliment, Dannelle.
Yeah.
And it's great to have someone that you can just talk to and be real with. And you bring out the things. I'd say that I'm way more personal. I mean, private. I'm way more private than you.
I see that, yeah.
So you think you talk about things, and I'm like, I didn't know people talked about this. So because of that, I thought that this was just a great opportunity to be heard, and frankly, do something different.
Yeah.
So.
I will say, last night, as I was in my prayer closet, and I have actually a deck of cards that, like, I pull, and I'll, like, some people call it tarot. I don't feel like it's tarot. I feel like it's just, like, helps to inform. And so it said it's time to start something new. It did.
What does your prayer closet look like?
Okay, so it's very small. It is actually a closet.
Any clothes in it?
There are no clothes in there. But
so you have dedicated a whole closet. That's what I'm talking about.
I have a whole closet that I go into, and it sort of doubles as a craft room. And also, like, I'm a person that buys greeting cards, and I have a bin with greeting cards on there. So if I have to go to a kid's birthday party, I just whip one out.
I'm in that.
And I have like bags and tissue paper, and sometimes I even have little gifts, just in there. But then I have a desk, and I have my Bible, a journal, pens. I also have a board on there where I put prayer requests, and then as they are answered, I put them in a jar that has answered prayers on there. So it is like a dedicated prayer closet.
I like it. I mean, I've heard about the idea of a prayer closet, but nothing's really materialized around here about as to a prayer. I pray wherever I want to. Sometimes eyes open, sometimes closed, sometimes crying, sometimes dried, sometimes at my desk, in my bed, shower.
Yeah,
this is prayed up around here.
Well, you don't have anybody else in your home.
That's true.
So I have to have a space that is mine, because otherwise, like, I certainly do pray, anywhere. But when I like really want to go in prayer, I have to have a place where I can close everything out, because otherwise it's like chaos.
Can the boys go in there?
No, they are not allowed in my prayer closet.
No, I like it. But so when you called me, I remember the day that you called me. I was sitting at my desk working, which is what people do at like 1:20.
What was I doing that I'm calling you?
Exactly. But I was like, and usually I don't even notice my phone, because the ringer was also, it had to have been in a place where it caught the peripheral of my eye or something like that. And I answered it, and I was not expecting that. But one of the reasons I answered it is because you just don't call. And I'm like, something's going on at 1:20 on a work day. So I was glad to get the call, but why a podcast?
I just think it's a place where you can like really share, I post, on social media, but you don't get the nuance. You don't get the full length format to really talk and, give details about something that might have happened or a lesson that you've learned. And so I just wanted a format where we could just talk and share. And I've also had people say, like, you need to share, like, you need to tell things. And so,
yeah. I remember, that's a good point, because number one, I'm not on social media.
You are not.
We couldn't be more different. And so, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I do remember you sent this to me. It wasn't social media, but when you pulled over in your car and you remember the word resplendent. You remember that?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that really resonated with me, to where I looked up the word, thought about it, processed it, and said, well, for me to have heard this from Dannelle, what does it mean to me and for me? So I thought, okay, I get it. But I guess my bigger question for you is, why didn't you join in the hype of the evolution of the podcast in 2021, when everybody was, dumping podcasts out there? I mean, geez.
That's a good question. And I will say, like, because podcasting has been around. I remember in the early, I'm going to say 2010s, that I went to something called the Pod Camp. It was here in Nashville, and people were talking about how they were starting podcasts, and I knew what it was, but I didn't have a podcast at the time, and I was just curious. I was, I think at that point I was like single and didn't have nothing else to do, so I just went to it. It was like a day-long session of workshops about podcasting, but I just didn't know, and I didn't know the audience. I should have gotten in there then.
No, you really should have.
That's right. Because at that point I didn't have any life experience. I didn't have nothing to talk about.
Yep. And it wasn't time. It was saturated.
Yeah. And so then fast forward to 2021, we don't have time for me to go into what I was doing, but I was interim president at a whole university. Yep. I was pregnant.
Yep.
I was doing all the things. I couldn't tell my head from my tail at that point. So,
it would have been a pot mess.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good point.
So yeah. So now, I mean, one could argue I have more responsibilities now because I have more children. I'm about to go back to school. Like, I have all the things, but I have also a motivation to share.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's time.
Yeah. So what about the name? against my better judgment?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We can't stop.
Yeah, so we both are lawyers.
Yeah.
And we were both thinking about what the name would be, and we toyed around with some things.
Now I don't even remember the big ones. Like, this is the only one I remember now.
Well, because at a certain point, I was like, it just came to me like, what about against my better judgment? Because there are times when clearly I have done things against my better judgment.
Absolutely.
And then I think also I am judgy, actually.
You are.
I am.
Yeah.
Like, I won't call myself judgmental.
Nobody calls themselves judgmental, but the essence of being judgy is judgmental.
So I just thought, well, that's natural, you know, and then we're both lawyers, so it kind of makes sense. And this is not a legal podcast.
Correct.
But we will weave our legal knowledge in there. And so that's just what I thought. And then what did you think when I said it to you?
I said, I thought about it for about 20 seconds, because when I read it, it resonated. It just hit, because I was definitely at a point in my life to where I knew that eventually I think reflect back on whether some decisions I'd made were in fact against my better judgment or not. So it really hit the moment and the time. And frankly, as a lot of the things I do, it just felt right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm so excited about this. So let's go to segment 4.
Oh, this is my favorite segment of Against My Better Judgment.
Okay, well, this is a moment where we share, whether it's ours or someone else's, a time when we ignored our better judgment and did it anyway, for better or worse.
Yeah, and I think this time, I think you had a really, really, really good one for this week. I want to jump straight into your Uber ride.
Okay. Okay. So again, I love telling the story. Now, I have to give backdrop for where we are right now. You know, obviously, we are under the Trump administration, where they are rounding up people left and right who are, you know, of
just people,
yeah, who are not Americans or not citizens, or
some
people
of them actually are.
There you go. So that's been making headlines in the city of Nashville, where we are. And so I got into this Uber ride, and my driver was clearly not American. I'm going to say he was Mexican. Let's just
wait a minute. Wait. First of all, we can't say that he wasn't American, and we can't say that he was Mexican. Just say, because he may have been American.
Well, I would say he was Spanish. Maybe I'll just say he was Spanish speaking.
We're going to go with
Spanish. He was Spanish speaking.
All right.
Yes. Okay. So he was Spanish speaking. And so I got in the car, and I was like, and I saw him, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what if ICE stops us? Like, what would you do if you were in a car driven by someone who gets stopped by ICE?
I do what I do whenever. What you're supposed to do. I'm getting out and I'm running. I am getting out and I'm running.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
I mean, that's what's gonna get you in trouble.
Because they may think I'm Haitian. What I'm not doing. That's why I'm running.
And if you run, they gonna get you.
It doesn't matter. They're gonna have to hit me with a dart, like, you know those blow darts like that you put in like elephants. Like, okay. They're gonna hit me with a dart. Running. Carry on.
So, I speak very little Spanish. Like what I say when someone asks me, I
does
say
not count.
Poquito, which is very little Spanish. So he asked me that, and you know, I told him poquito, and then he said something else, and then I pulled out my phone and I'm using Google Translate.
Wait, did he say habla español?
Oh no, did he say
yes. I think that's how you say it.
No, that is how you say it, but I don't know if he said that to me. But no, that is how you say it. So I pull out my phone and I tell him, using Google Translate, that I took 2 semesters of Spanish in college, but I don't remember anything.
Wait, why are you doing all of this? Like, what are your settings on Uber? Like, mine is keep it cool, low music and leave me alone.
No, my settings are, I don't even know if I made the settings, but my settings are talk to me if you want to, don't talk to me if you don't want to.
That is not a setting. That's in your mind. Carry on.
So anyway, I'm like, so I tell him that, and then he tells me back, because I told him that, but that was 20 years ago. So basically I was saying, whatever I learned for 2 semesters worth of Spanish was 20 years ago. So I remember poquito, okay? So then he tells me back as best that he can that he graduated from college 40 years ago. So we're just kind of laughing about this. Okay. So then a call comes in to his car. And
over the speaker?
Over the speaker. And it is the electricity company.
Oh.
And they're telling him in English that he hadn't paid his bill.
That is not funny. That is not funny. But that is what it is funny though.
But what are you like in that moment? I'm knowing this man don't understand what they just told him. And so he says, what did they say?
Okay.
So I'm Google Translate. They said you didn't pay your bill. And so
does he not have Google Translate?
If he does,
he should have that stuff come over in Spanish. Wait, you in the car? Let me just break this down. You're in an Uber with somebody who just got the message that they had not paid their electricity bill.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yes. So again, I translate in Spanish because actually, what is crazy is I can read Spanish. Like I can read it very well. Mm-hmm. I just can't formulate.
I'm with you on that. I had 9 years.
So
9 hours of Spanish.
Yeah. So when Google Translate told me what to say, I said it, and so he was like, now of course he's not in English, but he's like, oh, like you can tell he's saying like, oh, I paid my bill, yeah. And so then back in Spanish, I'm translating, you might need to call because it could be spam or, but you need to call and, pay this bill. And so it was just like, who else? Has it ever happened to you? Like, who else has this happened to?
I'm going to tell you right now, because of my settings in Uber, that will not happen to me.
I mean, but I felt so bad for him because,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, and it's also like I would be embarrassed.
Correct. That's my thought. Is the empath in me says, man, that's number one. Like if you really break it down, here's someone who clearly has some sense of work ethic.
Right.
He's working and he's grinding.
And he went to college, and
went to college. Yeah. Good point. Who, regardless of what he's done this week or that week, he has still found himself at a deficit. He had, what do they call it? More month than money.
Right.
Or you also may have someone that may really have paid their bills. Regardless, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's added stress to someone who is clearly working hard and, has to totally face it and deal with it.
Yeah.
So but that was a doozy.
Listen.
Because you did a lot. I mean, give him with me, if I'm sitting back listening at your story, I'm sitting here like, before you do all this back and forth, give him an extra tip. Did you triple his tip?
I don't think. I mean, I have it standard set. I think for like 20% in there, and so
I said, did you? So you did not triple his? Did you give him?
I did not.
See, that would have been.
I don't know how much that bill was.
That doesn't matter. That's the real. If you really felt sorry for this man, because if I'm him, I'm like, if you really feel sorry for me, forget this Google Translate. What you got?
Listen, my Spanish don't go that far. Okay.
Convenient Spanish.
I mean,
same here. I get it.
All right, so that was my story. Let's go with a story you got.
Yeah, this is one that's it just bothered me. Like, I mean, some things, it's hard to rattle me, but it's easy to bother me, especially in this day and age. I feel like we don't have great filters of, we talk a lot about, and can I be real?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Please.
So as Black people, we talk a lot about how offended we are when people take away DEI from us, right? And we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And we get so offended about it. But what I've learned is sometimes the things that we ask for are not the things that we give, and we do. So I feel that I'm charged to be overly inclusive, because I know what it feels like not to be included.
Right.
So I went to church, and I went to visit a church by invitation on a Sunday. I won't say the denomination of the church because that's irrelevant, but they were going through the process of selecting a pastor. Okay. And have you ever been through the process of selecting a pastor?
Only when I was a child, and it was a hot mess.
Oh my gosh. Well, these were the finals. So, this was the last go. The preface I got is, this is probably going to be the guy, and this is his last Sunday to show us something before we're going to meet during the week, and we're going to announce the next week.
Okay.
So this was a pastor that came, I want to say from Mississippi, or, somewhere from the South for sure. And his sermon was the sermon about the bones. You know what I'm talking about? Dry bones. Yes, yes. And if you've heard that sermon preached, I've heard it preached several times, and I've heard some people nail it. Well, let's just say he probably should have picked his other best sermon, because
that wasn't it.
It was not it. And I'm going to tell you really why it wasn't it. In complete honesty, is because of what he said. So he lost me at this. So he was going through, he's a hooping preacher. So he
that's
hoops
where he would have lost me, because I don't do. No.
So, and I don't mind it if it's properly placed, then I'm very open to, if the Spirit has got you there, what have you. But anyway, he's hooping. And as he hoops, he's saying, God loves the murderers. Murderers, God loves you. God.
As if there's a murderer in the audience. Okay,
God. God loves, and this is the order. God loves the rapist. Rapist, God loves you. And then he says, homosexuals, God loves the homosexuals. Homosexuals, God loves you.
So we in ranking order.
He said murderers, rapists, homosexuals. He put and what got me was, he had me at homosexuals. I mean, I was gonna let the man go with the murders and the rapists, because okay, yeah, God loves you. Of course he does. But when he put the murderers and rapists and homosexuals, put them all into one bundle, and I'm just gonna tell you the truth. The piano player, I'm just gonna guess that the word homosexual, if he identifies as a homosexual, he may, but he was, you don't know how he identifies, but that should have offended him. Okay, let's just be clear. But this man the piano player still playing. If I'm the piano player, go ahead and hit it, Dannelle.
God loves the rapists. God loves the murderers. God loves the homosexuals.
Boom, boom. I would have hit that. It was the fact that everybody in that, not everybody, but the feeling that I got is people were out of their seats, and this man had no pause. He had no one said, I'm gonna sit down on this. Yeah. No one but he said it so fluid, effortlessly, and wasn't checked on it. And that just bothered me in a place of worship, in a place where you really should go to feel included, in a place where folks who identify as homosexual, when you don't really have a space, that should be it.
Yeah.
So that really, really, really bothered me. And frankly, against my better judgment, I stayed through the rest of the service.
You wish you in hindsight you'd have said, I should have walked out of there.
Correct. He did. Moment. Well, he didn't have me standing up. I will say that. And the person who went with me, who I call affectionately my Brentwood mom, he didn't have her standing up, and we're talking a lady that's in her mid 70s, right? But I will tell you this: when we got to the car, what resonated with her, she was like, I just couldn't believe he said murderers, what was the other one?
Rapists
And homosexuals in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And you're talking about someone in their mid 40s and someone for their mid 70s who didn't that's what came out of her mouth, right? Which was also encouraging.
I would say so. I mean, here's the thing. When you go to church, to your point, it is a place where you're supposed to feel God's warmth and love and welcoming. You don't go there to feel attacked
at all.
Now, sometimes the word will attack you. Like if you're doing something that, the word will attack you.
I've gotten squirmy.
But it's not because of making you feel that you are the worst of the worst. You know what I'm saying? Like and I've been in spaces where, for instance, I might have invited someone in my home and, I knew that they were a member of I call it plus community. Mm-hmm. And then someone else is also there has said something that was homophobic. And I'm like, I invited them in my home because I wanted them to be comfortable and feel like a space where you can be yourself here. And then to have someone else say something that is derogatory and sort of they get hit with a stray. It's like, that's not what I don't want to ever have you be in that space. Yep. And so I think that's the same way about church.
Yep. That's actually a good point. But I'll tell you something that has resonated with me for years now. I remember that you and your husband were looking for church homes. And I remember you found a church home. And oddly, I was actually going to that church. But I wasn't a member of that church. But I'd gone to that church for years, frankly, because it was convenient to my house. Yeah. But you all had taken the step and decided to join the church. And you'd gone through the process of, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. So our oldest son, he was our only son at the time. He was getting dedicated.
Okay.
And so in order to be dedicated, they required that you join the church. And in order to join the church, you had to attend 2 separate sessions of church 101 and making sure you affirm, what they believe. And so in that second session was when we found out that they it was something that they said about transgender people, that they would not allow them to be in leadership, or that they would pray that, they would basically engage in helping them transform back into, and then they said something about leadership and being homosexual. And so by that point, we had already hit the join button, so we couldn't not join. So we went through with it and got Donovan dedicated, but then we did not go back there.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that. I think when we're put into positions to make, I think, they say character is who you are when no one's looking, no one's around. Mm-hmm. I also think when we're put into a position to make a decision, what is our decision, right?
Yeah.
What will it be if we, and I think we really have a different charge when it comes to religious entities. Yeah. They have, if you're not different as a religious entity, then what are you?
Yeah.
So,
and for me, the church that I grew up in, while they had their, everybody kind of has their thing. The pastor that I sat under for 16 or so years from a child, he always taught about love. Mm-hmm. To me, and that's been something that actually has been the thread of my life, is do it in love. Mm-hmm. And so it's not my job to delineate what God's decision is about something or another. So my job is to love everybody. Yep. And that's how I approach things. And so when we get up to heaven, he'll decide right. If you're this, how he judges things. But for me, as long as I'm if I'm operating in love and leading with love, I feel like I can't go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think earlier I said we are so different, and we are. But the things that when I think about just traits, I think of kindness. Mm-hmm. And people can say a lot of things about me, and a lot of them are true, fine. But I think one consistent thing is kindness. Yeah. Which also somewhat synonymous to love, et cetera, et cetera. So, but that was just one of those moments.
Yeah. I had another moment where, so there was a church that we attended when we lived in Philadelphia, and one Sunday the pastor preached about women not being able to be preachers, and I didn't leave at that point. And I think from there, having had that experience, because I knew that wasn't Bible based. It was Old Testament based, but I think the New Testament gives you allowances to. Anyway, we know this ain't a Bible podcast.
It's not.
But
it's not.
I think having that experience and still staying at that church and not leaving, and then fast forward to a couple years later when I was at another church and they said something that was antithetical to what I believed, then I was just like, okay, I'm not making that same mistake.
Yep.
So I think really that goes to, sometimes you do things that are against your better judgment, but they are to teach you. So then when you have that same thing happen again, you're not making that same mistake. You won't catch me. Yeah. So here's your reminder that you don't have to have it all figured out to start. I mean, we figured out this whole podcast thing in a matter of months with some research. It don't have to be perfect. Sometimes your next move is hidden inside, like what if moment that you've been ignoring.
Yep. I think ultimately, if it's on your heart, it's probably on purpose. So I just say, go for it. And then you can reflect on it and determine the lesson and the why behind whether it was, in fact, against your better judgment.
Yep. So thank you for joining us for episode 1. We'll be back next week with some more stories, more laughs, and hopefully some wisdom in there too.
Make sure you like, click, and subscribe. Follow us. Tell your friends about us. We'd love to get to know you, and we'd love to pour into you.
Yep. So here's how you can stay connected to us on socials. Follow us on Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod, and on Facebook at Against My Better Judgment Pod.
And if you got a story or a what would you do moment, or just want to say hi, please just email us at againstmybetterjudgmentpod@gmail.com.
Listen, we are so glad that you're here. We're happy to have you on this journey with us, and this is just the beginning.